Welcome back to Civic Rant with Moffatt, and we are still looking at the 2026 national budget. And this whole week, there has been a lot of buzz around the content of the 2026 national budget. And like we promised in our first episode, we looked at headline allocations in the 2026 budget. And today, this particular episode is going to look at the macroeconomic indicators. What are they in the 2026 budget and how does it affect you as a Ghanaian? In all this, we will narrow it down to inflation, which is something that every ordinary Ghanaian gets to feel when it is happening. So stay tuned again, and this is Civic Rants with Moffatt. So looking at the 2026 budget, the macro indicators inside it, the government of Ghana anticipates that the budget will bring the following. Pay close attention, the following. First is that our overall GDP, which is the gross domestic product, growth would be at least 4.8%. What this means, GDP, which is the gross domestic product, basically is goods that are produced and services provided within a year in the country. So the whole of Ghana in 2024, our GDP was at 82.83 billion USD, and in 2025, which is much more of projected, it is around 88.3 billion USD. And you can see that there has been an increment, and according to data from the World Bank and also from Ministry of Finance and other sources online, this is sharply attributed to increase in agriculture activities in 2025. So for our overall GDP, it is the budget is estimating that there's going to be at least 4.8% increment in our GDP, and also for the GDP which focuses on non-oil products, it's going to grow at least by 4.9%. Fiscal deficit. So now we are now going to look at our total revenue and expenditure, and then the gap in between, which will be our fiscal deficit. Our deficit, which is on cash basis, is at 4% of our GDP. And the total revenue that Ghana is going to raise, which includes our grants, total revenue and grants, is estimated around 268.1 billion Ghana cedis, which is 16.8% of our GDP. And our total expenditure, so at the end of the period, all the money we are going to spend, including all the monies that in our previous video, the allocations I mentioned, from the big pools, 24-hour economy, to the Nkoko Nketenkete and other livestock programs, to all the allocations to Ministry of Food and Agriculture, to health, to education and all that money, all those expenditure, to interior, to health, to defense, everyone included, is going to be around 302.5 billion Ghana cedi, which is 18.9% of our GDP. So our fiscal deficit, which is the difference between how much we are going to raise ourselves and then how much we are spending. So the negative in between is going to be around 34 billion Ghana cedi. And yes, narrowing it down, today's discussion is going to really focus on inflation, which is something that affects every single Ghanaian, everybody living in Ghana, whether you are a Ghanaian or you are even a resident in Ghana, or you are even passing through Ghana. Any expenditure you are going to make would be influenced or it will be impacted by inflation. So basically, we'll ask ourselves, what is inflation? So inflation basically means is the rate at which the prices of goods produced and services provided increase over a period in a country, which also impacts on your ability to spend or your purchasing power. So in 2024, which we are going to begin our discussion from 2024, inflation in 2024 was at 23.8%. By the end of October 2025, inflation is at 8%. And let's not forget that in the macro indicators for 2026, inflation is still pegged at 8%. What this means is that the value of goods and services right now per the estimation in 2026 budget is going to still remain the same. One of the reasons why inflation has been impacted in Ghana or has decreased significantly is also because of the cedi stability, and that our cedi is now appreciating against the US dollar. And by the close of 14th November 2025, cedi against the dollar was at 10.9. So what this also means that we can say that in 2026, we are estimating that the cedi, if nothing at all, would be pegged around 10.9, which is good for business. It's good for import. It's good for export. Anything that you are buying outside the country would be relatively low, taking if you are comparing it to some of the cedi prices we had in 2023, 2024, 2023 and 2024. But in this discussion, what I'm much more focused on is on food inflation. So if I am not traveling, I'm not going anywhere, I'm not importing anything anywhere, I still have to eat, right? So we are going to look at food inflation. And with food inflation, in December 2024, by the end of December 2024, food inflation was at 27.8%. Yes, 27.8%. But by September 2025, according to the data from Ghana Statistical Service, our food inflation is at 11%. Which means that the price of good food items on the market has relatively dropped. And I think the difference is 17%, comparing it to by the end of December 2024 to September 2025. However, it's very interesting. Even though food inflation, all this, we are seeing all this, in the market, it's really not the same, because prices for fresh produce and other items from agricultural produce are relatively high. Let me quickly drop some. So for instance, for certain fresh produce, it has sustained very high inflation. And fresh produce, then this one I'm talking about, fruits and vegetables are relatively high, including yam, palm fruit, shito, which is the pepper, ginger, tomatoes, onions. All those prices are still high. Some of you can actually drop comments on how much is being sold right now. But in our own little research that we did before recording this video, the prices for yam is still between 25 to 35 Ghana cedis, which nothing much has changed around that price. For palm fruit, so the olonka, so in Ghana, our average weighing scale would be around the olonka. The olonka price is at 40 Ghana cedis. Nothing has changed that much. And depending on how you have skills in haggling about prices, you can still get it around 35 or 30 from some people. For the red pepper or shito, so for shito, we have the red one, the olonka, going for 40 cedis, which price has dropped, yes, and then the olonka for the green is going at 20 cedis. Ginger has not been funny at all. The price of ginger keeps skyrocketing, and ginger for olonka is still around 150 Ghana cedis. Tomatoes is depending on what you are buying. So for the rubber bucket, you are getting 150 Ghana cedi. For the paint, the small paint buckets, let's be specific. And for the tin tomatoes, the round one, the big one, that one is going at 100 cedis. And of course, onions for that same rubber bucket is going for 100 cedis. So we are very, very happy that the indicators are looking very good on paper. But what we are saying is that due to all the implementation or projection that we have in the 2026 budget, which is looking at really putting in so much into agriculture, so much into the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, we are hoping that the price of food will drop drastically by the end of 2026, and that we are not going to be buying ginger at 150. We are not going to be buying palm fruit at 40 cedis per olonka. We are looking at having much stable prices and very, very affordable for every Ghanaian to be able to benefit or enjoy peace in this country. Yes, Food is actually peace, if you don't know. Thank you so much. And this is Civic Rant with Moffatt. In our next episode, we are going to talk about all the juicy items in the 2026 budget that is centered around agriculture alone. Yes, agriculture alone. And in all our doing, let's not forget that it is our duty as Ghanaians to ensure that the country is good enough to govern.